Hello everyone, I am Deepika Pathak here to discuss the Pharmacy and Therapeutic Committee part 2. So, today I will discuss about what is the prescription, what are the different type of prescription for different patient, it could be inpatient or the outpatient, what do you mean by these automatic stop order, and there is the emergency drug list in the formulary. So, we will discuss one by one. Inpatient prescription. Coming to the inpatient prescription, we will discuss first what is the inpatients. So, the inpatients are the admitted patients in the hospital, and for them if we are talking about the prescription, there are different methods by which a physician can prescribe drugs to the patients who are in the hospital itself. So, inpatients are the admitted patients in the hospital, they stay there for treatment, yes, till they are discharged. There are basically four types of dispensing system for inpatients. So, we have discussed in the previous lectures also what are the dispensing system for the inpatients. There are basically four methods. One is the individual prescription order system, second is complete floor stock system, third is the combination of first and second, and fourth is the unit dose dispensing system. Individual prescription order system, the point number 1, what happens if the patient is admitted in the hospital, how a physician will prescribe. So, physician, this is the, let it be the physician will write a prescription order to patient, and either the patient or their family member, they can go to the pharmacy, they will take whatever the medications are written on the prescription order, and they will pay what are these are some of the medication which is written, the patient can take and they will return. Yes, this is the basic procedure for the individual prescription order system. Point number 2, complete floor stock system. What happens in the complete floor stock system? Patient is hospitalized in the hospital. Who will give the medication to the patient? Here comes the role of the nurses. So, the complete floor stock system regulated through the nursing stations. Yes, whatever the medications are prescribed to the patient, nurses will see from the files, they will dispense it to the patient, and they could be either chargeable, there are some of the drugs which are chargeable to the patient account, there are some of the drugs which are non-chargeable, which are not directly linked to the patient's account. Point number 3, in some of the hospitals, what the hospitals are doing, they are following the combination of both of the methods, means they are following the individual prescription order, the patient or their family members can go directly to the pharmacy, they are regulating the medication, means the pharmacist is regulating the medication, they are taking all the in charge of the medications which is written in the prescription. So, the hospitals can follow individual prescription as well as the complete floor stock system, means by the nursing stations. So, both of the methods can be used in this. Point number 4, the unit dose, as the name shows, unit dose dispensing system. What happens there? The physician will write, here physician will write the prescription for unit dose, yes, for a single day dose. So, it is charged only on the basis of whatever the unit dose is prescribed or dispensed to the patient. So, it is charged on the daily basis. This is called the unit dose dispensing system. These all the methods can be used for the prescribing and dispensing for inpatients. Now coming to the outpatient prescriptions. So, outpatient means before the prescription, how the outpatients are prescribed. Before this we will discuss what is the outpatient. So, outpatient refers to the patients not occupying beds, means they are the patients, they will go to the hospital for the consultation. In the hospital there is a department called as OPD, means the outpatient department. They are going, they are taking the consultation for their specific problems. They will take, after taking the consultation, they will go to the pharmacy shop or the pharmacy, which we call it as pharmacy in the outpatient area, outpatient department area. They will take medication, the patient will take medication and then will come back to home. So, this is the procedure how the outpatient prescriptions are and are in this process. So, drug distribution to the outpatient, we have discussed how, who are the outpatients, how the drugs are distributed. So, they are distributed through the pharmacy in the outpatient block. Medicines are given to the outpatients from the pharmacy situated in the outpatient block. I told you we are calling it as a outpatient, the pharmacy located in the outpatient area. They are receiving the treatment only after the consultation from the physician. Without of the prescription, they can't take the medication. This is also the legal point of view. So, no medicaments should be issued without the prescription. It should be only with the prescription. Once they have the prescription, they can go to the pharmacy, they can take what are the medication written by the physician, they will take and they will come to the home and again they will do the follow up. This is called as outpatient and this procedure is the outpatient prescription. After the issued has been made, the quantities supplied must be recorded. Whatever the medication the pharmacist will give to the patient, after it will maintain the inventory. Yes, they will maintain the inventory record. Now, there is another topic which is called as automatic stop order. What do you mean by this automatic stop order? For some of the diseases or for some of the treatments, some of the medications, what happens? We want to reduce unnecessarily prolonged treatment. We want to reduce the side effects, the toxicity or adverse drug reactions. So, for this there is the automatic end times, automatic stop order, auto stops, automatic stops, automated stop. These all are the synonyms or we can say the different names of the automatic stop order. What happens here is the automatic stop order is basically the main purpose of it is to reduce unnecessarily prolonged treatment. If a particular disease, especially in the chronic, the patient who is suffering from a chronic disease, the patient who is suffering from any of the disease where the medication used is with a very high side effects, with high chances of toxicity, with the high chances of adverse drug reactions. So, what we will do, we will prescribe in an automatic stop order, means the prescription which is only for either for 1 day or for 2 days and they are written on daily basis. The doctor will write it on daily basis. So, there are the chance and what is the purpose actually what we want to gain here is when there is a lack of vigilance. Yes, there is a lack of vigilance. So, it is better to write it on daily basis on new order. Recently, auto stops have increased in prevalence. They are more emerged in the practice in an effort to limit the exposure of patients to unnecessary and prolonged treatment with addictive medications. I told you. So, these are the medications which have the high chances of withdrawal symptoms. Yes. So, for these medications we want to renew the order on daily basis. Like approaches for informing, what are the approaches can be used? So, approaches for informing prescribers of upcoming stop dates include, first approach could be use of reminders. We can use reminders in the electronic medical record. When the data is updating for a particular patient, there could be the use of reminders. Point number 1, by this we can stop the order. Point number 2, generation of reports. On daily basis we can generate reports. And reminders by the pharmacist. Where they are the clinical pharmacist available in the hospital, they can give the reminders to the patient, they can give reminders to the physician, so that the unnecessary prolonged therapy can be reduced, or other care providers. Yes. Automatic stop orders are often effective in the absence of robust clinical pharmacy services. In the previous of the slide, I told you, when there is a lack of vigilance, means there is the absence of robust clinical pharmacy services. The clinical pharmacy services are not available as it should be. So, where pharmacists are unable to monitor, they are not in that number. So, at that time they are not providing the services as they should be. Of course, just because there is a lack of this staff, at that time we can use automatic stop order strategy. And what physician will do? On the first day, if the physician has written a patient will take drug A OD, so after the 24 hours or it could be after the 48 hours, the dispensing of the drugs will be stopped by the nurses. Yes. Another day what happens, the doctor will renew it, means if it is required for the patient, it is a part of the treatment, then doctor will write again the drug A OD like this. So, in this way, the automatic stop order strategy, if the physician is following it, what happens? It will reduce the unnecessarily prolonged therapy, it will reduce the side effects, the toxicities which is associated with some of the categories of specific some of the drugs, like addictive drugs are there are some of the antibiotics. So, we can use the automatic stop order. So, automatic drug stop order, this is one of the automatic drug stop order. They are the patient name, room, medications, the drug A, drug B, drug C, drug D. According to the hospital policy, in some of the hospital or for some of the medication, it is for the 1 day or for the 2 day. So, here according to the hospital policy, the medication listed above will discontinued, okay, at the date and time noted above. So, here the time is noted like it is for the 1 day only, yes, it is for the 2 day only, for 48 hours, for 24 hours. So, like this it is written in the automatic stop order. Importance. In the previous slide also we have discussed what are the importance here. Prevents unnecessarily prolonged therapy. From the starting of this topic, I told you it is preventing the unnecessarily prolonged therapy, especially in the cases where the drugs are potentially the drugs which are in the category of antibiotics, because they are causing the risk of the antimicrobial resistance. If a particular antibiotic should be prescribed for the 5 days and the patient had taken for the 10 days or the 15 days along for the 30 days, patient is taking, what happens? There could be the resistance. Similarly, if the patient is doing the underuse of it, Yes, overuse or underuse, both of the things can cause the resistance. So, antibiotics are causing resistance for that, and this is a major issue. So, for this we can use the automatic stop order. The doctor will write on the daily basis, after taking the sensitivity reports, the physician can prescribe the another antibiotic which patient actually needs, so that the resistance will not happen. So, prevents unnecessary prolonged therapy. Patient will not take for unnecessary basis. It is very important to check the therapy on daily basis, and it will potentially reducing risk of antimicrobial resistance, as it is a major issue. Super infection and adverse drug effects are associated with it. Now, it is reducing the drug cost. If it is not required, a particular drug is not required to the patient, why to give, why to add the cost of that drug in a therapy. So, it is reducing the drug cost. If the doctor will write on the daily basis, it will stop it. So, encourages reassessment of need to change therapy, that I was trying to tell you. It is encouraging the reassessment of need to change therapy on the basis of the sensitivity analysis, what the patient actually is suffering from, which infection the patient is suffering from, how the physician will get it, only on the basis of the test procedures, only on the basis of sensitivity analysis. Need to change therapy or route of administration. If a particular drug is not affecting to the patient, the physician can change it, or the route of administration, or the formulation, or the dosage, only when the physician is following this strategy. Point number 4, may be more useful in smaller hospitals in the event of the pharmacy staffing shortages, where pharmacy clinical services may be limited. So, once I told you in the previous slides also, when there is a lack of vigilance by the clinical pharmacy, by the clinical pharmacist, or there is a lack of pharmacy clinical services, the shortage of this staff, it is best method to improve the treatment. Emergency drug list is one of the topic, very important topic. There are some of the conditions for which emergency drug are required, and if I am talking these are the emergency drug, so of course they are for the emergency condition. What could be the emergency condition? It could be asthmatic attack, it could be painful situation, it could be any allergic reaction, any anaphylactic reaction, it could be heart attack, it could be shock. So, these all are the emergency condition, and there are some of the drugs which are listed for the use in emergency condition. Now, we will do one by one. Emergency medicine is the medical specialty. What is it? It is a medical specialty dedicated to diagnosis and treatment. Yes, we will do the diagnosis and treatment of unforeseen illness or injury. Emergency drugs are those chemical entities used in patients during life threatening. I told you these all are the life threatening situation. One is if the patient is suffering from a cardiac failure, this is a life threatening situation. The patient is suffering from an allergic reaction, these are very serious allergic reactions, anaphylactic reactions. Yes, the patient can suffer from severe pain, the patient can suffer from respiratory problem, patient is not able to breathe. These all are the life threatening situation, and in all of the life threatening situation there are some of the drugs which are listed and called as emergency drug list. Now, and yes, during life threatening conditions, so that the symptoms can be controlled, and these drugs will control the symptoms and the life can be saved. So, what are these medication? We will do one by one. One is the allergy. To treat allergy and hypersensitivity, and this could be by any of the drug or by any of the other agent, following drugs are commonly, that is written following drugs, because I told you mainly by drugs the allergies happen mainly by the drugs, are commonly used in emergency department of the hospital. So, what are the options here? We can see these all are the options here. One is the hydrocortisone sodium succinate injection. Hydrocortisone is the corticosteroid. What it will do? We have also discussed this in the pharmacology part in the pharmacy course. So, corticosteroid is a hydrocortisone, as this is example here, and this is reducing the inflammation which happens in the allergy. Adrenaline injection. In the allergy or anaphylactic reaction, what happens? There is the lowering of BP, yes, or lowering of heart rate. These all symptoms can be seen in the allergy. So, adrenaline injection can be given in the allergy, 1 mg per ml. This is the concentration. Chlorpheniramine tablets and chlorpheniramine injection, these are two formulations with a chlorpheniramine, one is in the tablet form, one is in injection form. These come under the antihistaminic, means the anti-allergic drugs. So, these are the options which can be given for the allergy at the time of emergency. Now, to reduce pain or the painkillers, this is also the emergency situation. Sometimes what happens, like here is the example of paracetamol, it is given in pain to reduce the pain. This come under the OTC also, over the counter medication. So, patient can take paracetamol, there is a dihydrocodeine for very severe pain, dihydrocodeine is given, it is in 30 mg tablet. Diclofenac, this is the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory category, dihydrocodeine is the opioid category. Similarly, there are some of the antibiotics which are prescribed for emergency situations. Yes, there are some of the surgical infections are there. There are severe sepsis infection. So, for these there are some of the antibiotics prescribed. Amoxicillin for very broad category, we can say, covering many of the bacterias or many of the microbes. Cephalexin capsules, cephalosporin category, macrolide antibiotics are there, erythromycin can be prescribed, trimethoprim, metronidazole is prescribed to the patient. Penicillin tablets are there, but we have to think of about the allergy, because antibiotics are more prone to cause the resistance. So, very important to monitor the therapy and duration also, yes, duration of the therapy. And similarly, I am talking about the resistance. There is also one of the point we will consider is the allergy. Patients are more allergic with antibiotics, especially with the penicillin category. Benzyl penicillin is there, cefuroxime injection is there, cephalosporins consisting is a broad category for various of the microbes, it can be used. There is the cardiac drugs, means the patient under heart attack, suffer from angina pain, myocardial infarction, these all could be the stroke, cardiac failure. So, there are some of the drugs which are prescribed as we call it as a cardiac drugs in the emergency drug list. What are these drugs? Aspirin tablet 300 mg as a anticoagulant. What it will do? It will act as anticoagulation. act as anticoagulation agent. So, to thin the blood, for thinning of the blood, aspirin tablets are given. Whereas another is the atropine injection. It will increase the heart rate of the patient. To stabilize the heart rate, atropine injection is prescribed. Digoxin tablets, they are acting as a cardiotonic. There is another category, furosemide is prescribed as a diuretic, and they have the impact on the heart also. For lowering the blood pressure, furosemide is given. Lidocaine, this is also prescribed for arrhythmias. The patients who are suffering from arrhythmias, for that lidocaine is prescribed. Glyceryl trinitrate spray, they are prescribed for the angina pain. Tenecteplase, dalteparin, these all are the thrombolytic therapy. The patients who are suffering from, they are called as a thrombolytic therapy. There are some of the patients who are suffering from thrombosis. What happens in the thrombosis? The coagulation happens. And this coagulation, when this coagulation will stuck at a particular area, it is called as a thrombus, and when it starts to move, it is called as embolism, and this is more dangerous. This embolism is more dangerous. So, we are treating this by tenecteplase and dalteparin. These will come under the emergency drug list of the cardiac section. Another is the central nervous system. What are the drugs come under the CNS? So, there could be what are the problems, first we will discuss in the CNS. What could be the problems? See, the schizophrenia, the patients who are suffering from schizophrenia means a split mind disorder. Another could be the patient can suffer from anxiety, the patient can suffer from depression, yes, the patient can suffer from seizures, means convulsions. By the way, both are different terms. So, patient can be the patient can suffer from convulsions, and of course, it could be the seizures also. We call it as another could be, yes, I think so, that is enough for it. We will see first what are the medications. First is the diazepam injection. The diazepam injection is used for the convulsions, yes, and they also act as sedative and hypnotic. Another is these are the formulations in the rectal tubes. They are in the tablets form, they are in the injection form. Another is the chlorpromazine. Chlorpromazine injection is used, and it could be in the form of the tablets also. In injection 50 mg per 2 ml, and for the tablets it is 25 mg. And chlorpromazine is also prescribed in the schizophrenia disorder with the split mind disorder. Haloperidol is also used as anti-anxiety. The patient who suffer from the anxiety, they can be prescribed with the haloperidol by the physician. There is another category called as the diabetes. In diabetes, what happens? Sometimes there is very emergency situation. Either there is a high blood glucose level or very low blood glucose level. What we call it as? In the high blood glucose level, what happens? We can prescribe a medication which will lower the blood glucose. So, insulin is prescribed to lower the blood glucose level, whereas a situation comes where there is a lowering of blood glucose level. What happens here is we can prescribe any glucagon injection or the glucose solution. It is with a 50%, it comes with 50% concentration, whereas the glucagon injection is with 1 mg per ml. So, these all are come under the emergency drug list. Gastrointestinal tract, there are some of the medication which is causing acidity, severe acidity. Yes, the some of the drugs which are causing, which could cause, yes, nausea, vomiting symptom, diarrhea, these all come under the gastrointestinal tract. So, prochlorpromazine injection, this is a very common injection, and with this concentration come to reduce nausea and vomiting symptom. These comes with the combinations also. There is also loperamide, this is used for treating the diarrhea. The patients who are suffering from diarrhea, the severe diarrhea, they can be prescribed with a loperamide by the physician. There are some of the medications which are used for the eye, and what happens, there are some of the allergies or bacterial infections for which these preparations can be used. One is the chlorpheniramine eye ointment, this is one of the antibiotic here. Fluorescein eye drops, these eye drops can be used to treat the problems related with the eye. Now, respiratory symptoms. Respiratory symptoms means there could be the problem with the breathing. The patient is not able to breathe properly, especially we have seen the asthmatic attack. These could be the serious condition, these could be the emergency condition. What the patient could be prescribed by the physician, there are some of the examples here. Immunophilin injections, they will dilate. These medication will dilate the airways. Hydrocortisone sodium succinate, what they will do? They will reduce the inflammation because they are under the corticosteroid. So, they will reduce the inflammation of the airways. When there is an inflammation in the airways, what happens? Of course, there is a constriction of the airways. So, in the asthma, the same thing happens. So, it will reduce the inflammation of airways. Prednisolone tablets are there, this is also the corticosteroids. Salbutamol, terbutaline and ipratropium, these all are the nebulizer or the inhalers prescribed for the respiratory symptoms, means that if there is any breathing problems, and they all act as a bronchodilators. They will dilate the airways and finally improve the symptoms. So, this is all about the emergency medication. Thank you so much everyone. We will meet in the next session.